Okay, so welcome Shreya Mukherjee. We have Shreya Mukherjee with us. She is currently in Georgia Tech University in Atlanta and she is pursuing her PhD in geochemistry, right?
Yeah, I would say sort of, but yeah,
Okay,
we
sort
would
of.
say
You
geography.
can describe what topic and what exactly you are doing in Georgia Tech right now. Okay, so yeah, over to you, Shreya. Now you can show your slides.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Okay.
And I will share my screen. Let me know. Okay, 1 second. If
Okay,
I
just
can do.
another introduction for the students. So we have Arnab Das, who is third year BSc, and Onshu Bag is first year BSc. So we have BSc students. So we will try.
Hi, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. It
Yes,
just
I
kind
actually
of
it's
got
fine.
disconnected for some
Yeah. So we
reason.
have
I'll.
BSc students with
Yeah.
us. I was saying like we have BSc students. We would try to be it like little bit easier on them. Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah, that really helps. I mean, BSc first years is like really young, so I
yeah.
understand they might have a lot of questions. I mean, and they might not know a lot of stuff, so just feel free to ask me questions wherever you want to. It's absolutely fine. I'll just go ahead and share my screen and let me know if it's visible.
Yeah. Sure.
Visible, right?
Yeah. It's visible.
A second. And, yeah. Okay. So I'll just give a brief stuff about me. I'm just a first year PhD student right now. It's my second semester here in Georgia Tech. I'm working with Tectonics Research Group with Dr. Carl Lang, and this is within the School of Earth and Atmospheric Sciences in Georgia Tech. And before this, I was working briefly for 2 years as an assistant manager in Hindalco. And before that, I completed my geology, like BS and masters from Jadavpur University. And these are just my email IDs. I can share this slide with you, no worries. And you can also connect with me on LinkedIn and reach me out for any queries that you may have. So I had a question like on the like questions that Prajna gave me, that why Georgia Tech. Definitely for most people it will be like top 100 globally, top 13 US, or top 10 within the US public schools. But for me, I don't think I was really looking for like top ranked universities in US, because I mean, if you go for top ranked universities, first it's very difficult to get in, because when you're coming from India, you have very little research experience. I mean, compared to the students, like the exposure that the students get here, we hardly get any, so it's really difficult. But I was mostly looking at three P's of PhD, which is the person, project, and place. I think this covers most of the questions that we will try to answer today. Like, what should we look for when we are applying for PhD? The first and foremost thing that I tell everybody, it's the person, because it is the person which matters most. You're going to do your PhD under your guide for the next 5 years or more than that. So it is very important that the person that you're reaching out is like kind of really supportive and kind of understands you. And even like there will be highs and lows in PhD, and if you can, if you're able to share that with him and he's able to support you, then that's the best thing that can happen. Because I have seen many of my seniors who have gone like for PhD at very good universities, not necessarily choosing the person right, and then they had to leave the PhD for after like 2 years and then get readmitted somewhere. So it's really difficult. I have seen people who do that after 4 years of their PhD. They had to leave everything just because their guide was not good. So the person is the most important. Even if the university is not a well ranked university, I would say go for the person. Like judge for yourself that this person is somebody who is really like can mentor you and can guide you through the next several years. Because if the person is supportive, then your job, like if you do a postdoc or if you go to the industry after 5 years, that will also depend on the person. Then
Okay,
is the
just I'm
project.
sorry to interrupt. Are you
Yeah,
showing the slides?
yeah, is it not visible?
No, slides are
Can
not visible.
Oh, okay. I don't know why. I'll just check once more.
You can reshare.
Yeah, think so. I'll do that. Let me see. Okay. Can you see now?
Wait.
Like, Is this
Yeah,
visible
yeah,
now?
yeah. Now it's visible. Uh, yeah. Now you can continue. You go to the like
Yeah,
slideshow mode.
thanks for letting me.
Yeah, slideshow
Yeah,
mode.
so my first slide was just a brief introduction about me, and just I gave my email ID and LinkedIn links if anybody's interested. And this was about Georgia Tech. I talked about person, and then the second would be project, because obviously if you're going for PhD, you need to be really interested in that project. But then again, I feel if the person that the like the first point is really nice, even if you're not really interested or into the project, like if it's like kind of the last of your choices, still you will be able to go through it if the person is nice, and you will be able to like go through your interests over time. And third is place. I mean, the biggest bubble that I want to break about US is like not every part of US is really like very city like, because I have friends who got like into depression for the first years because they really had to like struggle a lot. Like if you go to a university which is like in the midst of like nowhere, and you have to travel like even like miles to just go to the nearest airport or just for grocery, and you have to also learn driving then, because like US is a very country which has needs driving. If you don't know driving, it becomes very difficult. It hardly has public transport, I would say, except for few big cities. So place was very important. And also it's like we come from India, like Kolkata te, it's the weather is like so hot mostly. Jay, if you suddenly go from suppose Kolkata to suppose Boston or New York, it's so cold in the winters that you'll find it really depressing. So that is also something that you need to consider. Weather and all, everything is important to consider. So for me, Atlanta is more or less humid and has a similar climate to Kolkata. It's generally cold but not as cold as other parts of US. It's a city, it has public transport. So I considered all of this too while making my final selection, because I had opportunities from suppose Arizona, University of Arizona, then somewhere from Boston. So Arizona, it's very hot, right? And you need to know driving to move around. It's and Boston is very cold. So based on all that, I also had like affinity towards choosing Atlanta that way. And then we go on to the pros and cons of doing PhD abroad. The pros are many, like obviously infrastructure and academic environment. Like I'll share my experience. আমি যখন like যাদবপুর ইউনিভার্সিটিতে ছিলাম, there were like hardly any instruments. I mean, if I wanted to do basic laser ablation like LAICPMS or EPMA, so these are instruments যেটা দিয়ে we can understand the geochemical signatures of rocks. So a instrument facility there is no, like it only I think near Kolkata IIT KGP had them, and not like it was not always allowed. Sometimes the IIT KGP instrument was on breakdown and it was not possible to get the data, and you could not even go and work alone. So sometimes my like the person I worked with during my undergrad and masters, he used to send the samples to China and we used to just get the data. So I was working with the data, but I had no idea how the instrument worked. Here, just beside my office building, I have the entire infrastructure, like the entire facility available to me. I can just book my time and go there and work on the instrument, and I'll also be taught. It's not like they expect you to know everything. So my advisor, he knows that I don't know all this stuff, and he is doing that hand holding process. I still don't know because this is my second semester, so I'm still learning a lot of things. But yeah, they know that you are probably not there, and they'll help you through it. So obviously unique research techniques and expertise, and there are a lot of opportunities. Like last just in February, I attended a workshop in UCLA, which is the University of California, Los Angeles. So they were talking about new instruments, and they had a full workshop for 1 week. So these it's like I would say workshops or like opportunities like this, I think is still very less, relatively less available in India. And funding and resources is a tricky part, because even like few months back I would say everything is good in US, funding is no problem. But recently, I think everybody knows, with the Trump administration coming in, there has been a cut in lot of resources. And I think geology being a subject which is kind of susceptible to all of this, it's kind of difficult sometimes to navigate. Networking and opportunities, it's there. I mean, networking, the best place to network is LinkedIn. It's the best, I feel. Even in this country, LinkedIn is best. People here used to use Twitter, but I don't think they use it anymore. And personal academic growth, that is definitely there. So one important thing is, when I was in my undergrad or masters, I mean, I did not know what a CV was or how should you make a proper CV. Here I see they have workshops every day. Like, the university conducts workshops almost on a daily or weekly basis on how to like make CV or resume. They have career fairs like which anybody can attend. They have internship opportunities. They help you. They have proper guidance for that. If you're like feeling that no, I don't know how to like get a job or something, there are people who will help you with it. So I think that I don't think we had a lot of that opportunity. Even in JU, I don't think I ever like none of my seniors also were probably that like knowledgeable about how to make a proper CV. It was only after I personally did it that I got to know, okay, this is how you do it. And cons are like obviously uncertainty and anxiety. If you're coming to a country that far from your home, it's definitely difficult. Initial days you'll also get loneliness because you don't have a lot of friends. But all of this is, I feel, achievable after some time. You have to just go out, be there, make friends. I have some friends who did not really go out and make friends, and that was like they were left alone. But I made sure that yes, I would have to go out, I have to make friends. You don't need to like make a lot of friends, but like two or three people with whom you can connect is, I think, still gets you through. And there will always be cultural language barriers because no matter how much everybody tells you that yeah, like US is really it is looks shiny, but I would not say it is always that. Because American people, they're really nice, they'll talk to you really nice, but they'll still not be personal with you. Like, they'll not that make that personal attachment with you. So they'll just see you in class and say hi, but beyond that I don't think they'll really connect with you. Because I don't they're really private about their lives, that's what I would say. And one important thing is, it's stressful because you have to do like everything on your own, like from cooking to washing dishes to like laundry. Like, even if you buy a furniture, you have to fix it on your own. It is, I would say, a learning opportunity, because when I came here I did not even know how to cook, but in like 6 months I know everything. So it's like it really builds your personality up, you get to know a lot of things. So there are again pros to that as well. Now, coming to industry versus academia, I was in industry and I was working for 2 years when I decided to jump on the wagon and just do my PhD. So make sure that when you're applying for PhD after a considerable industry experience, you just explain your reasons that why you're transitioning. Unlike India, where in India I think people separate industry too much from academia. I think here it's not the case. They know that academia and industry go hand in hand. So even if you have like industry experience, they really appreciate it, and they kind of don't like undermine your job experience. Like, don't say I did not learn anything or the job was very bad, which is why I'm going for PhD. I think that's not the way. Instead, you can just write, yeah, the job was really nice. I learned a lot of things. These are the things I learned, but I think my aspirations are something else, which is why I'm shifting to academia. That is how I put it. I was working as a geologist, I was working as a mining geologist, and I was doing well. I would like to say that. But I still realized that no, my real calling is doing more of geology, because in industry I feel you sometimes do less geology and more management. Because when I was working, I was doing more managerial stuff than doing real geology, which is what was like not something that I wanted to do at that point of time. So which is why I shifted to PhD. Because after because if you really undermine the job experience, then there might be a question, okay, what do you think after you want to do after PhD? Not everybody goes to postdoc, or not everybody goes to academic positions. So after PhD, PhDs are really sought out in US. Like in India, if you do a PhD, getting an like academic job is probably the only option. You don't really get hired by industries. But here, if you have a PhD, I think the industries are more likely to hire you than just an undergrad or master student. That is what I have seen till now. And coming to few just basic questions, GRE, it was required until now. We are not an engineering degree. We are just like science degree. And I don't think there are almost, I don't think any college anymore requires GRE. At least when I was applying, which is like 2 years back, GRE was not at all required anywhere. So you don't have to give GRE at all. you have to give TOEFL, which is I think for USA. You can also give IELTS for US, but I think TOEFL is just the better option to go for. It's more accepted in most universities. TOEFL is valid for 2 years from the day you are testing, and it's very easy to like choose a test date. You can just go to their website and choose a test date. It's a bit expensive. It comes around $120, which is around 15 to 16,000 rupees. It's a bit expensive, so make sure that you take the test when you're absolutely ready. Preparing for TOEFL, it's not very difficult. You have millions of YouTube videos you can go through. There are ways you can just also kind of prepare for it through the ETS website. So it's easy. It's not very difficult. It has just 4 sections: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And recently, they have also reduced the weightage to most of the sections. Like I gave TOEFL twice because in 2021 I was initially thinking that I'll apply for PhD, but I got into a job, so I left that. So I gave then once, and then I gave again on in 2023 because my 2 years validity was over. So in when I gave in 2023, I saw that it was much easier than 2021. So it's not any brainer. It's very easy. I think if you prepare for 2 weeks, it should be fine. And mostly I would say greater than 25 in each section is good, because if you get greater than 25, you will easily get a teaching assistant position. Like so now again, for stipend in US, you get paid by through different ways. One is a GTA, which is a graduate teaching assistant, and the other is graduate research assistant. So GTA is which the college gives you. You have to be a teaching assistant for a subject and like 20 for 20 hours, and they'll give you money against that. Or it can be GRA, which is research assistant. That is, you work under your professor and he pays you. Okay, so for GRA, your professor needs to have a funding. So sometimes the professors don't have funding, and then you need to be paid through teaching assistant positions. So one good thing about US is if you get admitted, you will have no shortage of funding for the next 5 years. You will either be a GTA or a GRA, but make sure you ask whenever you're applying and you're talking to the professors, you should ask about the summer funding, because in summer, most universities don't have teaching assistant positions, and then the professor is supposed to give a research assistant position to like cover for the funding. Like, but however, in Georgia Tech, I have seen they also require TA positions in summer. So even if somebody does not have funding through their professor, they can do it for they can just be a TA and get money. So make sure you, and that is one good part of applying to a big university, is that you have millions, like a lot of opportunities. So if you get greater than 25 in TOEFL, like in most sections, then you will be easily considered for GTA, and your chances of getting into the university is like higher. That's it. And like I said, in US it's generally 5 years, and there are 3 semesters: fall, which is from August, like mid-August till December. Then there is spring, which is from January to April, and then there is the summer, which is the May, June, July, 3 months. And in summer you don't have to take mostly classes, and you can just do your research work. And there are credit requirements for PhD in US. So the first 2 years you're like just a master's student, and for PhD, for it differs from university to university. For like my university, I have to take 15 major geology courses, and then I have to do a minor with 9 credit courses. So, and each course is like 3 credits. So I have to like take 5 major courses and 3 minor courses, and I have to complete that within the 5 years. That's it. But it's usually said that you should complete the major courses within the first 2 years, because after 2 years you have to give a PhD candidature exam, which is first 2 years you are a graduate student, you are not yet a PhD candidate. But after 2 years you have to give an exam, which is a qualification exam. It differs from different for different universities and different departments. So for here in CS, they just have to give a presentation and explain what research that they are going to do. But for my department, we have to give a qualification exam, that is a written examination, an oral examination, plus a defense, which is the PhD defense, like, okay, this is what I'm planning to do, something like that. So these are the different processes. For different universities is different. For I have a friend in Arizona State University. She just had to give oral examination and defense, so it's different. And the credit requirements are also different. So some universities have very less credit requirements, so you can just like check their website, you'll get almost every information there. And this is a quote that my PhD advisor keeps saying me every time we meet, is that PhD is a marathon and not a sprint. So it's like it's a continuous process. You have to be there for 5 years. There will be highs, there will be lows, and you'll always be learning something. And there is another, I think I missed that, about cold mailing. So like if you are planning to apply for suppose fall 2026, which is next year, then ideally you should start at least looking up professors by this year June, and start mailing them by July, August, or something like that. I mean, it's again, it's a continuous process. If you start mailing by July, you will see that the process takes a long time, and you'll almost be in October while you have completed mailing most people. And you can see for funded positions, like many people, many professors who are looking to take students, they just advertise it on their website that, yeah, I am taking students in this semester. Or they, if they are not taking students, they'll clearly write it. So make sure to check the websites. I mean, I would say from when I was searching for positions, everybody has a research website of their own, and it's really I would encourage you to go through their website. You'll get everything about their research, you'll get their papers, like it's highly informative. And most application deadlines will be in December 2025. Like good colleges in geology have their like deadlines on 1st December. Georgia Tech had an universal deadline on 3rd January. For fall 2024, my like deadline was 3rd January. So for some people, if you're talking to, like if you're cold mailing professors, they'll reply you, and if they don't reply you, you can just go ahead and mail them back again, like a follow-up email. If they're not replying you after a follow-up email, chances are that they'll never reply you. It's like a hit and miss. And then there are some people who will be really interested in you. When you cold mail, you can just attach your CV, and they'll get a good look at your CV, what you have done. And in the mail, just mention your research experiences and why you want to work with them. That is really important, like why you think that working with them will help you. And they'll reply you. Sometimes, most of the times when I mailed, I got replies like, okay, let's chat one day. So then there were like Zoom interviews with them. And it's really not an interview, because they don't really ask you questions, because they don't ask you like, okay, so this is a geology question, do you know this? I don't think they do that. In India they do that. I interviewed with some Indian professors, and I think, like, professors who are Indian origin, I think they still tend to do that, like ask you geology. All the American professors I met, nobody was asking me, okay, how much you know geology. They were more interested in how much passionate you are towards like doing this PhD. They're more interested in understanding if you would be a good fit to their lab. They don't want you to come with a lot of geology knowledge. They know that you can learn it, but they're just more looking for how like easily it is to converse with you, or like that sort of stuff. And after I had interviews with quite a lot of people, and then I shortlisted my choices. Like, okay, I have interviewed with 15 people. 15 people have encouraged me to apply. They have not necessarily told that I'll take you, but they've just encouraged me to apply. Okay, you should apply. And then I cannot apply to 15 places because it's expensive. Each like university has around application fee of $100, which in Indian currency is really high. And so I just shortlisted, okay, I'm going to apply to these 5 places which I feel are the biggest fit for me. I like the professor, I like the project, and also I think that they are interested to take me. In that way I applied to like 3 4 places. And also, one thing I did, I asked the professors for a waiver. I asked that, see, I'm from India, so can I get an application fee waiver? And people who are really interested will automatically give you application fee favor. So I applied to 4 places, and I did not have to give application fee at any place because everybody gave me a waiver, which was really helpful. Because if you're saving money on that, it's really like better you save money, because it's very costly in the initial stages. And after the so after before so the place I'm currently in, Georgia Tech, the professor, he informed me before I applied itself that I am going to consider you as my top candidate, so please go ahead and apply. So you might receive responses like that, or you might just receive, you have a very high chance, you can just apply. So I got like I was the topmost candidate for two places, but I and that like encouraged me to apply there, and I got in, but I still chose Georgia Tech because I liked the project and the person both here. So during your application you have to make sure you like see that your research aspirations really fit with that of your potential advisor. You should outline your research areas and add that in CV. Like these days making a CV, you will get a lot of help from different websites, and even some of the university websites have kind of a, what I would say, a format for making an academic CV. Then there is statement of purpose, which is really important. So in statement of purpose, it's just there. Some universities they already kind of outline the questions.
Shreya, the slides.
Oh, are they not visible again?
No, 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 they are not changing.
Okay, I have not changed actually. It's still there. I think
Oh,
I'm just talking about the application part.
okay,
I did
okay.
not make a big
Oh,
slide
okay.
about statement
Sorry,
of
sorry. Yeah.
purpose because, yeah, yeah. I thought I'll just say it like statement of purpose. It's like not a big thing, honestly. Most people are really afraid. But most universities, they'll give you a question. Like when you're applying, they'll give you a question. Okay, these are the things that we're looking for in this essay. So they'll ask you for that. And for example, in Georgia Tech, I had the three questions and they needed to be answered within 300 words. It was not a big statement of purpose. So different universities have different requirements. And then statement of purpose, you're just supposed to say these are my research experiences, this is my background of research, and why I am kind of interested in pursuing this research, how it will help me and my academic growth and my vision, and also why I am interested in choosing this university. So when I wrote about Georgia Tech, I wrote that there is state of the art equipments which I can use for my research, and there is a lot of funding opportunities which will help me in my research. Stuff like that I just wrote, and it's not a very difficult thing, it's easy. And then I think the most important thing that people generally overlook is the letter of recommendation. I have talked to professors here and they have told me that most of the times that even they liked the student, they kind of rejected them because they did not have good letter of recommendations. And good letter of recommendations does not mean that you have to give it through somebody who is like, you know, a really high-fi professor. He does not need to have a really good like citations or something like that, but he should be willing to write original good things about you. Even in JU I had professors who did not like did not it's kind of sad, but in India most professors don't know how to write a letter of recommendation. They just write crap, and that makes you lose your chance. So you should really trust the person from whom you're taking your LOR, because in India I strongly feel the academic environment needs to change. It is very toxic in my opinion. Even from JU I would say it's toxic. It was difficult for all of us to get a good LOR because there is always fights among professors. So if you have done, suppose your undergrad or master's thesis with somebody and you're then applying for LOR to somebody else, they are sometimes like, no, I'm not going to give you. So that's really sad. But make sure those people, and since you're in like undergrad right now, you can just start building up on it right now. You can just start building good connections with professors. I had few good connections with few professors. I did not work under them. In fact, as a matter of fact, I'll tell you, I the person with whom I worked for my undergrad and masters, you would think that okay, that person surely gave me LOR. I did not even ask that person for LOR because I felt I don't trust this person enough. I felt that this person could sabotage my like academic aspiration. I did not ask for it at all, and I asked for other professors who knew that I had the capability in me and they were ready to give me a LOR. So it's not always that the person you work with, if they don't give you LOR, it's like going to ruin your chances. It's not at all that. In fact, when I talked to my present advisor now, he just told, yeah, I saw you give a letter of recommendation with the person you worked with. Then I told him, yeah, he was sort of not really nice, and he really appreciated that I did not give it from him. So make sure you do that. And transcripts are important thing. It differs for university to universities. For like IIT, I know for most IITs the results that they get, that's their transcript. So, and they have a process from the university itself which can online mail the university your transcripts. But for like I was from JU, we had to apply for transcripts and they had a validity. They had a validity for I think 2 years, and I had to apply for transcripts. That took like 15 days. Then I during application you just need your PDF version. Like most colleges need that. But then I was applying in one college in Boston. They needed like me to mail the transcripts, like actual mail. So I had to like send the transcripts through, I think I sent it through Blue Dart or something. I don't remember exactly. But anyway, if you get selected, like I got into Georgia Tech, so I had to mail my transcripts directly from my university. Like the university stamps the mail for me. They stamped the mail and I had to just send it. That's it. For different universities, it is different. You are just in BS, you can still go ahead and look up the process for your university. But like if like I was in BS and then I did my masters, so I had to send both my transcripts. Now I know that in India right now, I think bachelor's degree has become 4 years. So before this, when I was applying, US universities required 3 plus 2, like 3 plus 2 academic years for applying to PhD. But they also they can like they take in for 4 years as well. Like if you have done your bachelor's for 4 years, you can directly go ahead and apply to PhD in US right now. You will be like fine, because anyway you have to do credits in the first 2 years. So I think they are sufficient if you're really looking forward to do a PhD. And then for visa, I think if you get admitted, you will get the entire procedure for visa from your school. I mean, I did not know anything. Like even a year back, I had no idea how to get my visa, but I got everything from my university. Every university has an office of international education, and believe me, almost all universities, the most incoming international students are Indians. So they have a full support ready for Indian students. And you get a I-20, which is like a document which says that you are admitted to this university. It's basically says that if you're admitted to PhD, you don't have to pay anything on your own. You'll get financial support with which you will be able to live your life there. And you'll get a service ID which is like linked to you and your visa and your like presence in US. It's nothing that you need to know now, but it's easy. It's nothing very difficult. And the visa that you'll get when if you're coming to US is F1 visa. And I would say it's valid for 5 years. They'll give you a visa for 5 years, and then you can extend it based on your need. And it's a very step by step process. And I joined WhatsApp groups. There are thousands of WhatsApp groups where Indian students who are coming for masters or PhD, they'll help you with any query. I mean, it was really easy. And one thing, I think there was a question about stipend, if it's sufficient. I would say the stipend differs for different universities and for the location. Like if you're living in a city, your stipend will be higher just because your housing costs will be higher. And somebody like my friends kind of sometimes get lower stipends than me because their housing costs are way lower than me. My housing cost is really high, which is why I comparatively get higher stipend than them. But then it just balances out at the end of the day. After grocery, after your minimal expenses everywhere, you'll still be able to save money. So it's not like that you'll have to really do cut to cut living. It's normally you can save, but it's not that you can live a very hi-fi lifestyle. It's, I would say, something like a student should live. I mean, it's better than India, I would say. At least in India, I know the stipend situation is really bad. It's better than India, definitely. You do save money. If you want to take trips, you can go on those trips. So it's nothing that is like too bad a living. And that was mostly me. I think added a slide to explain my research. So I do geochemistry, but I think it's more geochronology. Geochronology is basically how you understand the timing of events, and also you can date rocks. Like, okay, this rock is 4.6 billion years old. How do we know that? Through geochronology. So I don't do actually very much hard rock geochronology. It's mostly thermochronology, which is like I try to understand when thermal events happened. For example, if the Himalaya, the event of orogenic events happened, so there were many. It was a like step by step process. So I try to understand. Okay, if there has been a deformation, it at which age or at which year did it occur? How many years back did it happen? So, but in that as well, I try to understand radiation damage in minerals. So this was something that was completely, I did not know much about it honestly before I joined my PhD, because I don't think anybody in India taught me about it. So there is like, suppose zircon. Zircon is a very robust mineral. I think, I don't know if you know about it yet, but you can just read up on it. So mostly all of the oldest rocks, they have been dated through zircon. Why? Because they are robust and they generally don't get deformed a lot. So zircon has high like uranium, and if you have uranium, so it's a radioactive element, right? So it is supposed to continuously break down, decay, and from that the mineral itself gets damaged through internal radiation. So that is radiation damage in minerals, and that in, I'm trying to understand them in terrestrial and extraterrestrial settings. So in terrestrial settings, through the radiation damage that a mineral itself goes, it can have tracks which are called fission tracks. So by counting fission tracks, we are able to understand the age of the thermal event when that happened. I will not go too much into that because I know you're just in first year, so I'm sure you must not have read much about it. But it's just a way to finding out the year when thermal events have happened in the past. So my one of my project locations is in India. It's in Arunachal Pradesh. It's called Noah Digging Fault, which is near the. It has like a triple junction, like the Indian plate, the Eurasian plate, and then we have the Burma sliver zone and all that stuff. So in that region, we are trying to understand with numerical modeling and with some geochronology stuff like fission track and argon dating, like when that thermal event happened. Like if there is an uplift, then when did that uplift happen? So that we are trying to understand. And in extraterrestrial applications, so my another work is on moon. So it's partially supported by NASA survey, where I'm trying to understand, like, on moon there is no atmosphere, there is no magnetosphere, so there is constantly a radiation incoming from the solar flares, like the sun rays or the cosmic rays. So these minerals, which automatically, even on earth where there is like almost negligible cosmic rays, these minerals are kind of getting damaged through internal radiation. But in moon, where there is so much of radiation, this internal radiation damage should actually multiply. So how much are they multiplying, and what are the effects on isotopic systems? So till now, whenever we have tried to calculate the age of lunar rocks, we have not taken into account the radiation damage, because radiation damage can really affect the age. Like you are probably overestimating the age of moon, or maybe underestimating, depending on which isotopic system we are using. So we are trying to do that. It's a project that is partially supported by NASA survey, and I'm still trying to get more money because it requires a lot of experimental research on it. So I'm trying to write some proposals at this point so that I can like get funded for more stuff on this. But it's like still a part of my thesis, and I think I don't know, it's like still too early to say. Let's see how it goes. But like I have daily like not daily, weekly conversations with my advisor, and we know that okay, if this does not work out, we'll have a backup plan to do stuff. I can always go back to the Himalayas and do more stuff, but this is something that I'm briefly interested right now. It's kind of very, I think it's kind of very difficult for you guys to understand now, because even if somebody had told me this in my undergrad, it would be difficult for me. In fact, in undergrad, I don't think I ever knew much about applying to US or stuff like that, because I think hardly people talk about that in India. I don't know, it's like, and I feel very less people also help you through the process. So I would just go back to this. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them. And if you still like want to like talk to me, you can anytime like chat with me on LinkedIn. I'm always mostly available there.
Yeah. So I think I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so how you talked about like UCLA workshop of patents. How to get patents for the inventions, if you have any?
So it's not a patent. So basically, not there are very expensive instruments which only some universities have, right? So they have a SIMS, which is like a secondary ion mass spectrometer, which is really good for some deep calculations, for like elemental calculations. So we don't have that in Georgia Tech. So I applied. So they were having a workshop. I gave like my like statement of purpose. They had some requirements, and then I got selected for the workshop. So there they talked about mostly SIMS applications and how you might use that instrument for your research. It's not, and they are developing methods. So it's like not, I don't think, even if they do patents, I think patents are mostly applied for by different national laboratories who are like constantly working on this. But like you if you can use an instrument to develop a new method, for example, you want to calculate, suppose zircon, uranium, lead, there are different ways to do it, right? So if you use an instrument and there are like many like minor things like change the gas fluence or change the magnetic energy or like electric energy, so those are methods development which the people which who have those instruments, they do it. They have a lot of research assistant stuff, but mostly mine was trying to understand the process of SIMS and see if I can utilize it in my research. That's mostly because it's very expensive even using it. If I'm going to use that instrument, it's still like $150 per day. So I need to know that if I really need to use this, or I can do it with some other instrument, right? So
Yeah.
for like I can do the same thing with LAICPMS if my purpose suits it.
Okay.
So it's just that, and they have so many workshops that I sometimes feel that no, I cannot even attend so many of them.
Yeah.
So but the opportunities are definitely bigger in India. My main issue was I never learned an instrument, which is really bad. I mean, none of them have good instruments, right? So that's a very big plus here. But then I don't know how the things will be from now, because department fundings are getting cut for all subjects, not just geology. And even in Europe, I think this thing is same. I saw many big departments closing their geology or earth science department in Europe. I think few days back in Amsterdam it happened. So it's a difficult time, but I think one good place for doing geology, if you're interested, is Australia. They have lots of stuff for Australia, like lots of funding for Australia.
Why? Can you just tell me like what is the situation in Europe and why is the situation in Europe so bad?
I think Europe itself is going through a financial crisis at this point. All countries, almost. So I think in Amsterdam there was VU Amsterdam, which got a very big funding for the geochemistry lab last year. But this year they have to close down the entire department because one thing, not many people are studying geology. Maybe that's a definite point, and then it's very expensive to run these laboratories. So I think that's a major part. And when you're going through financial crisis, the first strike comes to science, and especially ours is a science that not many people might be interested in or understand. So one more important thing is that everybody I would encourage to do is do science communication. You should learn how to like make people understand what your science is, like why it is important to know. That is a very big part of doing science these days. I mean, even in India, I think science cuts are normal. Every time country goes through a financial struggle, the first cut that comes through is research funding. So even in US, they have cut research funding considerably. My projects have still not gone like undergone a cut yet, but I know people, like especially people doing climate change, their fundings have been significantly cut. So that's a major problem. Why I say Australia does not do climate change, but they have their economy is a mining based economy. So they are doing a lot of this igneous rocks or metamorphic rock like research. Like if you want to do geochronology, for example, you like Australia has very good opportunities. It's different. I have one of my senior who is there at Curtin University, and they have the best labs, best mentors. So it's good. So Australia I would say, for good place for doing, and also good place for getting jobs after a PhD degree.
Okay, so
You can easily get a job.
academic jobs or more like in industry or both?
I think they are more intertwined with industry. Most people go for industry jobs and less academic jobs. In US, academic jobs for an international student is tricky at this point. but it's not that you don't get it, but it's difficult. You have to get postdocs, that's for sure. If you want to go to academia, you have to have postdocs. That's what I've seen here. You have to, and sometimes one postdoc is not enough. Some people go for two postdocs and then they get for academic jobs. Consider, and if you don't, and it's like, suppose you do 5 years of PhD and you're not motivated enough to do a postdoc, then the easier way out is just go to the industry, and it obviously pays higher. That's also sometimes what people want.
Okay.
That okay, yeah, because I feel like many people come to US at a later stage of their life. Suppose like I am right now 25, I'll graduate when I'm 30. So after that, doing two postdocs and living in uncertainty might be difficult. And again, if I'm very passionate, I'll just go for it. But it also depends on what you are getting. So like, for example, I have a postdoc in my lab right now who is American, but she has almost completing her postdoc, but she is like right now looking for job. So while she's applying for another postdoc, she's also applying for industry jobs. At the end, it's what you get, right? Because I feel right now opportunities for jobs has decreased in US. It's kind of less for all subjects, not just geology, even for CS. I feel for international students there is a visa consideration, and given the current situation, it might be difficult. But then there are my friends who want to go back to India and do an academic job. I don't know how to. I think it's because in India you don't need a postdoc to get an academic job necessarily. So it might, if you want to go back to India and do a job, then it's easy. You can just probably keep connections with your Indian professors and look for opportunities. So it might not be that difficult sometimes.
So how will you get job if suppose you want to get
Mhm.
back to India?
Yeah.
So what channel or what process you will be getting the academic job?
I think for India they have interviews. That's what I know. I think they need you to clear they most places need you to have cleared the net, I think.
CSI net.
Uh, yeah, so I'm not really sure because I have not looked into that much, because I feel 5 years from now the processes might change. But
Hmm.
like it's like some universities, like just colleges, if you're not interested in doing too much research, or if you just want to do research in like private or something like that, you can also just apply for colleges. And some colleges just have interview process and you can get into there. It all depends on what you want, right? In your life. If you want to go back to India, settle close to family, that's important. And obviously you have to keep
Absolutely.
looking for opportunities. Right now, if you ask me, I have kept all my options open. Like if I get a better opportunity in India, it's definitely better. And here, if I see I'm getting a good industry job, which might be good, it works well. Or if I get a postdoc, that's well. So I think you cannot really close your options until you are like in the end of your PhD. But right now, since all the students are mostly BA students, I would just advise them to. I think grades are important, like keeping your grades in bachelor's, but I don't think that important in getting a PhD. For getting a PhD, I think research experience is more important. So if you can get some like internships at some good universities
Hmm.
and do some real research work that you can put on your CV, that would be really great. I think that's what helped me too.
Yeah.
I mean, here I don't think nobody checks your marks anymore. I mean, they just see that okay, you have got a good grade at least, and like not too bad, and then they check your research experience and how it fits their research.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
what is most important.
Okay. So that's it from my questions. I will be asking the students now if they have questions. So Anindo, Unshu, and Arnav, we have three students.
Right.
Anindo, do you have any, like you can unmute yourself or you can write it in the chat box. Or if you have no questions, even that is important that you say it. Okay, no questions, then we will move ahead. Okay, Arnav, are you typing? I think he's typing.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm typing.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. How hectic is PhD life? It's a good question. It is hectic, I would say, especially for the first 2 years, because you have to do coursework. You have to also, so in US it's hectic because you also have to like do your work at home, and then you have to do coursework, give exams, and then also do PhD. It is hectic, but it's not something very difficult that you will not be able to cope up with entirely. Because in the first 2 years, even your advisor, he'll not expect too much out of you. Like I said, it's not a sprint; it's a marathon. I think most people get their work done in the last 3 years. That's when you really start understanding what you're doing. In India, I have seen people do PhD for 7 years, so I don't think that's like advised. I mean, 7 years is too much. It's hectic, but then I was working in job. Even job life is hectic if you call me, right? So even there you have like targets and things you have to achieve, and that is hectic. That's a different kind of hectic. This is a different kind of hectic, and it's like I don't think you have to just study books here, right? You have to study more papers. So you're right now in BS. So if you get slowly accustomed with reading papers instead of books, I mean, books are good. Definitely, you have to read books to get some preliminary idea of stuff. But if you start slowly reading papers, you slowly get accustomed to it, because I've seen most people when they come here, the biggest thing that they struggle with PhD is reading a paper. They don't know how to read a paper. It's not that you have to read everything or understand everything, but you have to understand what they're trying to do. So here, like in Georgia Tech, in my lab, we have a weekly seminar where we read one paper together, not necessarily from our research field, something that everybody chooses, and somebody presents that paper, and then we discuss about it. And then I have also seen here like most of my courseworks, they are not exams. Like I don't have to give a written exam. So like I am taking a isotope geochemistry class this semester. All I have to do is like choose something that I like and read 5 6 papers and give a review project about it. Like I have to do a project, and so I am, suppose I'm doing on radium osmium geochemistry, and then I'll just understand what this isotope system is about and give a presentation and also write a full paper on it for like 6 7 pages. So that is something that you have to learn in PhD, like how to write and how to read. That is like write an academic proposal and write or read an academic paper. So if you slowly start doing this in bachelor's, it would be easy, because I did not do it in bachelor's until I think I started reading papers only in masters. Nobody told me to read papers in bachelor's. But if you start doing it now, it just becomes easier, and you'll slowly also gain interest in a lot of stuff.
Okay, I think that will do. Or no? Do you have any more doubts?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Onshu, Onindo, you guys, these guys are in
Have,
first year. Yeah, or no?
can I say
Yeah,
hello? Am I audible?
yeah.
Yes, I don't have any doubt, but just want to share a thing. Today only in a poster competition we gave a presentation about Zarkan and uranium dating. So it became a coincidence for me, like you tell about your
Wow.
research.
That's really nice. I think zircons are really cool, I feel. And good that you are doing posters. I think these are really good things. You can start piling this up for your CV. I mean, if you keep in your CV that I gave a poster on zircons, you're likely to get selected for PhD who works on zircons. It's very cool stuff. And I would say it's like you asked, it's hectic because you have to do a lot of sample processing, but it's also fun, right? It's nice. And yeah, it's nice. Just if you have any more questions, just feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I can talk endlessly about zircons.
So
It's
I have
fine.
another question.
Yeah.
I was asking about like cosmology, the subject in itself.
Mhm.
Cosmology is not that developed, right? Like
I
starting.
mean, I think in India, nobody talks about cosmology or planetary science.
Yeah.
And I feel it's a complete difference here. everybody talks about planetary science and cosmology, and the most fundings you'll get is also in cosmology and planetary science, right? I mean, one day I was just talking to a fellow graduate student. He asked me what I work on. I told moon. He asked me which moon. I mean, I was confused for a second because he apparently is working on
Yeah.
Europa. I mean, in India we cannot even go that. I mean, moon is probably, I mean, in recent days maybe Mars. We have not reached Europa. People here are studying Europa, Pluto. I don't know everything they're studying. And like you asked, cosmology, it's a big thing here. There are so many people who are working on cosmology, cosmic stardust, and all that stuff. It's too high level for me, I feel. And there are people who work on physics of the planets, like physics of Mercury, physics of Europa, Titan, Saturn, all of that they work on.
Yeah,
And
and
many of them.
today I feel like I have one student who was like very much passionate about cosmology. He is not here. He's also in first year, and this is the problem. The caveat I have seen, like in India, there is no one's talking and nothing about cosmology or planetary science. And I wanted to know about the prospects of cosmology abroad.
It is huge, I would say. I mean, you will easily you're likely to get a NASA funding if you can write a proposal. I mean, even in my advisor's wife is any course having geology that is related to astrophysics. Yeah, I mean, like I said, in here the coursework you choose. Nobody tells you, okay, a semester में यही coursework लोग मैं put up. It's not like that here. There will be 30 courses offered every semester. You can take any one of it. So here, astrophysics, there is physics department. Many people who are. So I am also doing a graduate certificate program in astrobiology, which has some part of astrophysics, but not necessarily too much astrophysics. So my guide's wife, she did her minor in astrophysics, and now she is like a planetary scientist. She has too many NASA fundings, and she's working on different NASA, like Moon, Mars, all that stuff. She is in NASA Perseverance mission. So it's like lot of stuff that you can get involved in. And astrophysics, it's like a thing here. I would say astrophysics and planetary science, it's a complete bloom of things here. I mean, if you're interested in astrobiology, I mean, it's something like how to know if Mars had a life. We cannot get Martian samples, right? So what people do is they choose a Earth place where they think, okay, this is similar to Mars, then they study that. So like my advisor's wife, like Frances, I'm very close to her, so she also kind of is just going to Antarctica in this year. So if you are here, if you're interested in all that stuff, it's very easy for you to just go into that. In
Yeah.
India, however, there is one place. If you're really interested in that stuff, I would advise you to start looking for an internship in PRL, which is a physical research laboratory in Ahmedabad. They do a lot of this stuff. I think they're the only institutes which do that stuff. In IIT KGP, maybe one or two people do that, but physical research laboratory is the best place. Some people they are interested in just remote sensing. That's again a big field which will land you good jobs. Remote sensing, you can just look for a part in Mars and try to understand it. So yeah, even just in Georgia Tech, the person who first discovered water, he was on Mars. He was a PhD student in Georgia Tech. So, I mean, if you're interested in that stuff, US, you should definitely just try for US then astrophysics, astrobiology, anything planetary science related. I think US is the best place to do PhD. And if you're looking for that kind of stuff, I would advise try to get internship in physical research laboratory. There are many, and I have seen people who have done their PhD in physical research laboratory. They easily get postdocs in like good places, in even postdocs in NASA from India directly. I've met with them, so I know that physical research laboratory is great for cosmology, everything. So it's really good for that. And but definitely it's a like if you are looking for opportunities in that, I think all universities have more than 5 6 people who are doing this. And if you're looking for a, I would say, in my opinion, the best place to do space stuff, which is also a considerably easy university to get in. It's like not very high rank, but very good. It's Arizona State University. They are linked with all NASA programs. They have a very good space science program. They also have astrophysics. Like you can do your PhD in astrophysics even if you come from geology background. So one of my friends studies there. She does not do space stuff, but I know that astrophysics is a major thing in ASU. They also do meteoroids if you're interested in that. I mean,
Exactly.
because Arizona have like I don't know if you guys have read about Canondado. It's in Arizona. So meteorites are a complete thing in ASU. Like they study meteorite compositions, and from that different other things. It's I think if you're interested in that, best places I would still suggest is US, and they have time. I think they're just first year students, so by the time they apply for PhD here, I have a feeling that Trump will be gone, so they'll have again have good opportunities. It's
I
just
mean,
for the
what will be the prospect, like final prospect for these students who will be opting for astrobiology, geobiology, astrophysics? Like, will they be like postdocs or like unending
they
postdocs?
can do No, they can. I mean, this thing is so well funded by. I mean, right now Trump is doing cuts for NASA, but by the time they will come and they'll graduate, I think things will start looking up. And NASA is the best place. I mean, even they're doing this stuff, they'll easily keep getting internships in NASA, and they can also go for a postdoc in NASA. Or they can. There are so many like planetary science companies that they can go for if they want to job like do a job, and that's like a research job, not like a managerial job. They'll do research stuff there. They'll help develop instruments, or they can go for an assistant professor position, because I feel by the next 10 years planetary science will be the biggest thing. So they'll easily also be
Get a
helped.
job in SpaceX?
Yeah, I mean, if you do a PhD, I feel there'll not be less opportunities for you here in at least US. You will
Yeah.
it also depends on how much you connect and network. That's why one thing that I see here in US, almost all universities have a weekly talk by someone who is coming from a different university. If they are in your field, you can just go and talk to them, and that kind of builds a relation. They tell you something, you get to know something like that.
Sure. I think this thing that we have started, I think this is how India will also, develop and, invite this culture, especially in every colleges. And this is a very important point to grow for every field.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, for moon, everybody uses India data. Mane, Chandrayaan M3 data
Yeah.
for moon mapping. Moon mineralogy mapper is the best data that they have got till now. Yet in India, hardly people do that. I know they do that in IIT. I know some people use remote sensing software called NV to do that, and PRL does that. But when I was in Jadavpur University, nobody was talking about planetary science. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody. I mean,
Exactly.
it's just traditional and it's old. So yeah, that's there. But in India, if you're interested, there are other fields that are opening up. I feel IIT Gandhinagar is a recent very good university for geology. They are talking about carbon capture in basalts. If anybody is interested, I was doing that in my undergrad. It's a very good opportunity if you're interested in something somewhat climate change. Then that is a good university. Like right now, you don't need to think much about. You just need to get a good internship for like 2 3 months where you can do good work. Like the summer is coming up, so I think Shobai first year students, I think you should just apply for internships. Tale, even if you don't go for research someday, it will still help you broaden your like geology understanding in the initial days. So when I was in bachelor's, I think I just went for an internship in my second year in Humayun University. I thought that I went behind the name, okay, like a very big professor. I went under him, and I realized I did not learn anything. So it's not the name. Go to a university where they have instruments. Like even if you don't want to go far, either Kolkata has good instruments if you're interested in all that stuff. Then IIT KGP, and I think if you start early ahead, it's easier. When I was doing my masters, I applied for many of these internships and I got, but they were virtual because it was online, it was COVID. So now we don't have that issue. Either Pune is good, either Bhopal is good. Many places have good internship opportunities if you can apply. Like IITs sometimes, because they have their own students, like IIT Bombay, IIT Kharagpur, ISM Dhanbad, they have their own master students, right? So they sometimes give preference to them. But then there are IISER Pune, IISER Bhopal, which have comparatively less. They almost have no master students. So they are looking forward to students. Like you can just find a professor whose work interests you and just mail them. And even like, don't mail just one person, mail maybe 20, 30 people, because not everybody replies. Then IISc Bangalore is really good. If you're, I don't know if anybody does IISc Bangalore planetary science. I know they do geodynamics and all that stuff, but I don't know. Planetary science, maybe PRL is best.
Is the organization, yeah. So how did you come to the decision that I'm not going to focus on GSI, CGWB, AMD, all of those exams and organizations, and just focus on research and just give my entire energy in research, all the jobs related to it. So yeah.
I think ever since I took geology, I took geology because somebody told me that you can find, you can do history and you can also play the role of a detective, I think, and also you can travel, right? So I feel GSI, I always did not want to get stuck to a government job. That is just the idea does not fit well with me. That because it's, I feel GSI and AMD, these are good jobs, amazing jobs, but they are also like too stable for me. I felt that I needed to explore a bit, and which is why I felt in research you're exploring something always. Suppose 2 years from now I'm not liking the research that I'm doing, I can just probably do something else too. But in GSI, you're just going to places, mapping and doing the same things, right? In my opinion, some people just like that, love doing that, and it was just not my calling. That's why I never even gave GSI, AMD, none of the exams I gave. I did not even give like GATE or any of those exams, because one more thing, I don't completely agree with the Indian education system, which has like those exams like JAM, GATE. I feel they are more like, I feel anybody can give those exams if they just like study all things, like study all chapters,
Yeah.
and necessarily you don't really get to the essence of geology through that, right? It's like, I don't like paleontology, so why will I study paleontology? I don't need to be a paleontologist, right? I mean, I can just do geochemistry and deep digger and all those exams. What one more thing, they are so old. I mean, they don't talk about